Ini adalah seluruh pebalap yang tadi juga sudah tampil begitu ya sebenarnya di race pertama. Saat ini sudah berbaris akan bertemu juga dengan Presiden Joko Widodo.
Dan kalau kita lihat cuaca begitu mendukung ya di siang hari ini.
Menantang, beresiko, dan tentunya juga punya tujuan tetap untuk menghibur ya Dina. Dilangsungkan selama 1 tahun atau 1 musim begitu. Dan seri Danau Toba menjadi seri pertama di tahun 2023.
Dan yang berbeda adalah dalam 10 tim ini ternyata 2 negara yang berbeda gitu ya. Biasanya antar negara, namun ini mewakili pebalap masing-masing.
Ya, kita lihat dengan Marit Stromoy dari Stromoy
Norwegia.
F1 H2O Racing Team. Dan tentunya Bartek Marsalek yang baru saja menjadi juara, yang dinobatkan menjadi juara setelah
sejauh ini ya.
Sean Torrente tadi harus rela dikurangi 1 lap. Dan inilah 2 pebalap dari
Abu Dhabi
Team ya.
Al-Kemzi.
Tani Al-Kemzi dan kemudian Sean Torrente yang menggunakan kacamata adalah Tani Al-Kemzi. Kemudian berikutnya masih dari tim asal Uni Emirat Arab juga. Dan tim Sarjah.
Sami Celio dan juga Ferdinand Zambro.
Parade lap begitu ya, sehingga masyarakat ataupun penonton yang hadir langsung di Danau Toba ini bisa melihat secara nikmat begitu ya, karena biasanya ketika balapan sudah berlangsung ini kan dengan kecepatan maksimal 250 km per jam cukup sulit memangnya Dina untuk bisa melihat secara detail begitu dan setiap kapal yang mengikuti balapan dari masing-masing tim.
Ya, ini dia beberapa jet yang memang saat ini kembali bagaimana ini warga Indonesia khususnya sudah mulai ramai gitu ya, mendatangi lapangan Sisingamangaraja di Pelabuhan Mulia Raja Napitupulu untuk melihat kemeriahan dan betapa atau seberapa serunya gitu ya F1 Powerboat ini berlangsung.
Kualifikasi ya, hasil kualifikasi yang berlangsung pada hari Minggu pagi tadi, di mana untuk posisi pertama Bartek Marsalek, kemudian Sean Torrente, Eric Stark, dan kemudian Sami Celio, dan di urutan 13 pebalap dari tim Maverick Racing.
Dan disusul oleh tim Sweden. Juga starting grid di nomor 15 ada Atlantic Team. Disusul oleh Sarjah Team ya.
Masing-masing pebalap menuju ke area start. Dan nampaknya starting position tadi adalah mengacu kepada hasil dari ini ya, Dina, dari race pertama. Dan inilah kapal dari Sean Torrente dari tim Abu Dhabi dengan nomor 1 gitu ya, menunjukkan dia juga menjadi juara di musim sebelumnya. Dan inilah pembatas dari lintasan begitu yang akan dilalui oleh setiap pebalap.
Ya, dan Nicolo juga sekaligus sebagai founder dari H2O Racing ini mengungkapkan bahwa ada beberapa alasan gitu Lorenzo kenapa akhirnya Danau Toba ini dipilih untuk menjadi venue, itu karena memang kemegahan, kecantikan, serta keindahan dari Danau Toba yang layak diketahui lebih banyak lagi oleh masyarakat dunia. Dan Nicholas sekaligus ini sebagai founder juga menyampaikan bahwa pujiannya terhadap pemerintah Indonesia yang memang dinilai sukses di masa persiapan hingga penyelenggara acara yang sudah berlangsung hingga hari ini.
Kapal dari tim Victory dengan pembalap Eric Stark. Dan inilah kapal dari Peter Morin, pebalap asal Prancis, namun ia membela tim CTIC China dengan nomor 7. Ya, pemirsa, start akan dilakukan. Balapan akan segera dimulai. Ya, 30 second menuju race kedua, pemirsa. Siapakah yang kemudian akan menjadi pemenang di race kedua ini? Mari sama-sama kita saksikan jalannya balapan F1 H2O seri Danau Toba, Sumatera Utara. Selamat menyaksikan.
Their way in these tough conditions out here, and as they circle around and they come down, the green flag is out, whistles being sounded as they slide through the commitment buoy, heading down in toward turn number 8 and 9 in the old circuit. This is the first of 18 laps, Jonathan, as we go off from this crescent moon shaped circuit. This is something new, and here comes Bartek Marzawak, your leader, out in front, and moving up and challenging in that second place is Team Abu Dhabi driver pushing hard, and it is Thaniel Quimsey, who started down in that sixth spot. He had pushed his way toward the front.
And Steve, the boats are jumping around all over the place with those rollers coming in from the far side. They just are hanging on for grim death as they complete their first lap. But out in the front, is it changing? Is Thaniel Quimsey? Look at the conditions out there. These are certainly not perfect for Formula 1 racing. And you can see there Bartek Marzawak, all of a sudden he was leading the race, and the conditions have got so bad he's now falling way back in the field. And the guy that's taking the lead is a number 7 boat. That's Peter Moran, Team CTIC China. But my goodness, these conditions are almost undrivable. They've got to be watching that they don't nosedive these boats in this lap.
Peter Moran, who started in the 4th position now, has moved himself up into the lead, and why not? You know, he's a long-distance runner. He's used to racing at Rouen in France, where there's ugly conditions and boat traffic in this old traditional 24-hour races. So I think he's quite at home at these tough conditions. And Thaniel Quimsey trying to stay right up there with him. So Bartek Marzawak led that first lap, but right now it's Thaniel Quimsey trying to close up and get past Peter Moran. But Peter Moran, as we talked about, is used to these tough conditions, and around he goes. And they continue to move, but they're only going about 15%, 20%. Look at that, Jonathan. Some drivers are almost coming to a complete stop. These conditions are just so terrible. The drivers are trying to stay up, and you see Peter Moran almost launched the boat, teetering on the edge of disaster, somehow saved it as he almost stalled it completely, putting it up on its tail, and was able to gather it back up again.
Totally impossible, Steve. I mean, they're down from 140 odd mile an hour going down that back straight to probably 30, 35 mile an hour as they hang on for grim death, trying to get around that circuit. And a lot of them, did you see that boat there? That is Ben Jelf, I believe. The entire boat almost sunk as he tried to get his way around the circuit. You can see the Dubai boat there. Did you see the water coming over?
Eric Stark, the driver from Sweden, who started this race in 3rd place, he literally submarined it. Oh, what a shame. Drivers already dropping out. They're going, this is not going to work. It's not manageable. And on the replay, you can see Eric Stark, who totally submarined the boat yesterday. And behind him, you can see one of the Maverick Racing boats go up. And there's Stark again, as he's trying to show off his prowess of driving the boat into the water. But literally, these conditions are unmanageable, and there's no way we're going to be able to run these 18 laps, Jonathan, which is a real shame for these 100,000 plus fans who have come here for race number 2. Now, we ran the first race of the day, which was fantastic, but here in race number 2, it's just doesn't seem to be able to work today.
Yeah, but Bartek Marzawak, the Polish driver, he's still out there, Steve. He's hanging on, and he's thinking, hang on a minute here, they're going to call this race. I want to make sure that I'm in the lead boat, because he may get some points for competing out here this afternoon, picking up Jonas Anderson there, 2-time world champion, and my goodness, I cannot believe what they must be going through around the circuit, Steve. I mean,
we've done this before, Jonathan. We had this problem in St. Petersburg years ago in Russia, and in Istanbul in Turkey years ago, where we did get the race in, but these conditions are tough. There's still a green flag out there, so some drivers are giving up the ghost, including the world champion Sean Trente, and boat number 1 you see in the distance in the background. And it looked like the young driver from the Netherlands got out on the water, Ferdinand Zandbergen, and he's calling it quits. So slowly but surely, these drivers are saying enough is enough, and Kali Vipo is parking his boat. As you look at it, you see the CTIC China leader out there. That's Peter Moran from France. He's taken over the number 1 spot because his ex-father-in-law, Philippe Shepp, a 3-time world champion, went out in glory when he won his final race ever of his career back in December in Sharjah, and had a Cinderella season, wrapped things up, and then retired and turned the reins of his number 1 boat over to Peter Moran, who was out there. There's Philippe Shepp. There's the 3-time world champion. who was got his first win 10 years ago in Kiev. Jonathan, in the 2012 series, but that was a match race.
Yeah, Steve, most of the boats are actually coming into the pontoon. They realize it is totally impossible to compete.
F1 H2O di seri Danau Toba, Sumatera Utara. Siapakah akan menjadi pemenang? Mari sama-sama kita cari tahu jawabannya di race kedua pada sore hari ini. Selamat menyaksikan.
As we get a chance to take a look at Peter Morin, the driver, and now they're showing the checkered flag. That's going to be it. That was a great try, and they did their best. The drivers thought, well, maybe we can do this. And after about 1.5 laps ago, yipes, this is not going to work. Alexandre Bourgault, by the way, in the number 74 machine, the driver from the Maverick team, he hung in there. He said, I'm not giving up. He was out there in second place, the highest he's ever had. Daniel Quimsey stayed out a long time, too. And most everybody else has called it quits. And that pretty well shuts down the action for race number 2.
And you could just see there, you could see Peter Morin almost nosediving that boat as he tries to find his way around the circuit. Came off one of those rollers, came off the top of it. And
435 meters, now charging their way up toward the commitment buoys. And as they push along the side, Eric Stark trying to make a move. Torrente on the outside and 2. And Torrente is fighting to get himself into that number 1 spot as the green flag is officially out, as the field of drivers come whistling around. Bartek Marzowiak trying to stay up into that first place position. And he got a great start. Look at the Polish driver pull away here 10 laps in, or 10 seconds ahead as he got around turn number 8. Torrente's about 10 boat lengths back. Celio is pushing hard. He started 4th. He's up into 3rd. And then a 2-boat battle between Stark and Jonas Andersson for that 4th place position.
What a start by Bartek Marzowiak, the young Polish driver there. He's doing everything he needs to win this race. Came off the line. I think he was running a slightly bigger propeller than Sean Torrente, who seemed to have the legs on him. But as he increased in speed, he had a bigger propeller, more top-end speed, and he was able to get into that first turn just ahead of Torrente and start making his way forward. He's got clear water ahead of him, Steve, for a while. This is where he could really make up some ground.
All right, as you can see Jonas Andersson trying to push up on Eric Stark, but Stark is able to pull away. Jonas Andersson dropping back. I wonder if the 2021 world champion may have a bit of a problem here, but he comes charging up on the outside. A good battle going on for 4th place, Jonathan.
Yeah, I think that Jonas has definitely got the legs on Stark there, sitting in 3rd at the moment. And you can see that Jonas is on the outside, Stark's on the inside. Jonas seemed to try and get ahead of him in that last lap. He tried to cut inside him, but he got some dirty water. It got rather rough. He had to back off, and Stark is still holding him off.
Stark out there on the right of your screen. Victory team based out of Dubai. And the 36-year-old driver from Sweden back on the tour. First time in 4 years. You got 2 Swedes right there fighting for the 4th. And in the 5th spot, trying to get up into the mix in that 4th place battle, Peter Morin, the driver out of France. But right now, the leader, Bartek Marzowiak, he's holding about 2.5 seconds. I noticed that Sean Torrente in the last lap was able to pull out a few boat lengths on Sami Celio, the 2-time world champion. So he's got about a 2-second cushion right now between 2nd and 3rd place as the field comes by. Now remember, this is a shorter than normal race. This is a sprint race. So I'll tell you what, you want to do it all right now early on. There's no waiting for a good time. Right now is the good time, and you've got to make hay when the hay is in the barn.
Yeah, dead right. But look at the way that Bartek Marzowiak, he's pulling away from the rest of the field, Steve. This is something that we have not seen for a long time. Torrente hanging on in 2nd, but there he is, Bartek Marzowiak, sponsored by Olin, the Polish oil company, and they've got to be really chuffed at the performance that he's putting up this weekend. As you said earlier on, Steve, he's already had 2 podiums. He's been knocking on the door for the last 2 or 3 races, and he is driving his socks off out there.
Bartek Marzowiak, our leader, starting his 50th race, still looking for his first victory overall. He's got 3 podiums, and he is doing his best to try to make good his escape from the 3-time world champion Sean Torrente, who's hanging right in there. The difference really between the top 5 is not much of a difference in the speed, but the top 3 are really close within 5 seconds of each other.
Yeah, and the good thing for Bartek now is he's got that clear water for probably the next 5 or 6 laps before he starts coming up against the back markers. So this is where he can really open that gap between himself and the Abu Dhabi driver Sean Torrente in that 2nd slot.
0.3 of a second, the margin for Bartek. He has increased that on the world champion. It's up to 3.15 seconds, the difference between 1st and 2nd. Meanwhile, Torrente has gained a little bit more ground on the 3rd place, Sami Celio, who has dropped back about another half second. And then Eric Stark is 5 seconds back of Celio, with Jonas Andersson just a second behind him. So very close, the top 3. Then there's a bit of a split between 4 and 5.
Yeah, Jonas then, he certainly hasn't given up, but he's under pressure from Peter Morin, the French driver, who's pushing for all he's worth. We do know that French boat has got some serious pace out there. Watch out for the number 7 boat in the next 2 or 3 laps.
As we look at Peter Morin, the veteran driver who has replaced his ex-father-in-law, 3-time world champion Philippe Shep, who stepped aside, and they've brought on the American Brent Dillard out of South Carolina. The 36-year-old rookie's in the number 8 boat, but all eyes are on the number 7 machine, as this 43-year-old out of Rouen, France, is right up there where he's happy to be up in the point structure. He's in the top 6 right now, as Jonas Andersson and Peter Morin are dropping back just a tad, and Bartek Marzowiak continues to increase the lead about a third of a second every lap over Sean Tarenti, who's desperately trying to stay right there with him.
Yeah, what they're going to watch now, Bartek, is that when he comes up against the back markers, which is going to be in the next 3 or 4 laps, then hopefully he can get through them. It's very important that the back markers are in communication with their crew chiefs on the bank, and they do give these front drivers a gap so that they can get through and carry on with this unbelievable battle at the front of the field.
Yeah, you can see out in the background all the crowds that encircled us like a crescent moon. There's tremendous amounts of people. Well over 100,000 had bought tickets, and they sold it out at about 23 minutes, Jonathan. That was incredible when the tickets went out on sale. So everybody in Indonesia here this afternoon, this is the first of 2 sprint races, 18 laps, as they fight for their chance to watch speed on the water, and they're getting the world's best drivers here today.
Yeah, you can see Jonas there coming on the inside now, starting to pressurize Stark in that 4th position, Steve. I don't think it's going to be long before. And look, Jonas on the inside, he's running that boat it's his number 2 boat, so it doesn't perform as well as his main boat, which he had problems with that you pointed out yesterday. He certainly hasn't given up on this 4th position. Stark there still running cool. Jonas overshooting the turn boy there, letting that boat run so loose on top of the water. The number 14 boat is pushing for all he's worth.
Yeah, this is the second time he's run this boat in 6 years, believe it or not. So talking with him after qualifying today, he says, yeah, I got to get a feeling for this boat. It's going to take me a while. And right now, 5 laps in, he seems a bit aggressive, and that's great for Jonas Andersson and all his fans that are here cheering him on. He missed the World Championship last year by 10 laps. He had the championship in his pocket. He almost became a 2-time world champion, but for the first time in all of 2022, he had a mechanical problem. He dropped out with just 10 laps to go, and Sean Tarenti, who had been in a tremendous crash, was sitting with wet clothing on in the paddock, all of a sudden realized that, hey, I'm the new world champion.
Yeah, start watching him in his mirrors there. As you can see, Jonas comes through the right-hander, takes a tighter line. The problem is, when you take the tighter line, you tend to scrub off a little bit of speed, but he's still there with him. You can see Stark there, turning tight on the boys, watching every move of Jonas. It looks like, to me, like Stark knows exactly where he is, and he knows what to do to hold up the pressure that Jonas is putting on him.
No, it looks like Marit Stromoy is dropping out. The teammate of Bartek Marzowiak, Marit Stromoy, who had qualified in the 10th spot, has dropped out. That's not a good sign for Stromoy Racing. But while we watch this battle here, in that battle for 4th place, oddly enough now, Tarenti is shaving that down. The distance between 1st and 2nd, the real estate's getting smaller and smaller. It's now 2 seconds. So he's gained 1.3 seconds on the leader, Bartek Marzowiak, as they get closer and closer here, as we've gone way past the 1/3 mark of this quick 18-lap sprint, the first of 2 races that will determine the Grand Prix this afternoon, and these will count in points. And I'll tell you something, Bartek now needs to just focus, stay on what he needs to do here as you work around some traffic.
Yeah, just looking at the boat there with Bartek there, a little bit off balance as he came through the last 2 turn boys there. The boat a little bit running a bit too loose on the water, but he seems to have everything under control now, Steve. It's still 2 seconds. You can see Tarenti there trying to cut through on the inside, going around a shorter part of trying to shorten the track to try and make that gap on him, but it's still there 2 seconds as we speak.
Yeah, Bartek got a 1/10 of a second back, 2.11 the difference between 1st and 2nd place. They're closing the gap a little bit closer. It's about 12 boat lengths separating the two. And again, it's a situation of how this young driver, who for the first time in his career is feeling the pressure of leading a race. You've done that so many times, Jonathan. Does your mind change when you lead a race and you're in protective mode, or you just keep focusing on the job at hand?
You've got to keep focused. You've got to keep pushing. You've got to be running at 110%, because that's when these boats are running at their best on the water. But Sean, getting through back markers there, overtaking Duarte Benavente, the Portuguese driver. Maybe it slowed him a little bit there. I noticed that Bartek seemed to get through the back markers a little bit quicker, and you can see that he's increased that gap, Steve, again by just a split second. So at the moment, he's still sitting pretty there. That boat running so well in these tough conditions here in Indonesia.
Yeah, it was a bit bad luck for the world champion. You mentioned he got caught up with the Portuguese driver, Duarte Benavente, the oldest driver on the tour, and Bartek took full advantage of it. He got his second back. It was down to 2 seconds. It's back up to 3.3 seconds, the difference. Wow. Yeah. So Bartek got the job done. So we know this young man who is from Poland can figure out that he can handle the pressure of being in a number 1 spot. At least he can so far. We're halfway through this race. Sprint race number 1 of 2 this afternoon for the Grand Prix of Indonesia.
And I think that they're both built from the same factory up in northern Italy in Como there. But I think that the boat that Bartek has got, Steve, is just slightly longer. And that means that when the conditions get rougher as the race goes on, maybe his boat is better suited. You can see he's gaining again on Sean Tarenti in that second. Is he having an easier ride? Is he able to push a little bit harder as the race goes on?
We'll have to wait and see here as we've gone past the halfway point. Over down toward turn number 9. Now it's a front straightaway of 520 meters. These are 9 turns, 2 right-handers. Very unusual, very technical in nature. And the drivers really have to focus on their lines, because if you get off line, you're going to lose a lot of time. And again, this battle between 2 Swedes, Eric Stark and Jonas Andersson, continues to heat up down in that 4th place between the 2 drivers, which is now just a matter of a second separating those 2.
I think if Jonas was able to get ahead of him, he'd have a bit of clear water and he'd pull away from him. But as you can see, look, as Stark turns there, Jonas is getting all the wash and the spray and finding it quite difficult to actually see as he tries to improve and close that gap with Stark.
Philippe Shep, there you see second alone. This is his brother-in-law, or I should say his ex-son-in-law out there running, Peter Moran. And the driver from Rouen is starting his 27th race, still looking for his first victory. He's got 3 podiums, and he's a good qualifier, but getting him up there. Now, really, Peter Moran, in the past, he's been 7 top 5s in his last 11 races, so he knows how to finish up in the top 5. He's doing his best to do it right now. He's in his 6th spot.
And of course, we've got to bear in mind that he's running a new boat here this weekend. He has not run it in the past. It was the boat of Philippe Giap, 2-time world champion. Although I spoke to him after practice and he said it's a lot lighter on the water. It seems to accelerate a lot better, but it's just going to take me a little bit of time to get into the groove and know the limits of that boat.
Wow, the difference in speed between the top 2, as you saw it on your screen a second ago, just 3.9 seconds separating 1-2, and then the cushion between Torrente and Sami Celio, almost 7 seconds. Wow, so it's a 2-boat battle up in the front, and then Celio is pretty much by himself, 5 seconds ahead of Eric Stark, but we're all watching the Eric Stark, Anderson, Peter Moran battle. 3-boat battle for 4th place, and that's only separated by about 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, pretty even Stevens there, isn't it, Steve? There's about a second between Stark and Anderson, and you can see that the French driver, Peter Moran, trying everything he can. He's on the inside, outside, just trying to close down that gap between himself and Anderson. And again, back markers coming into play, Steve, for these 3 drivers. We could see a change if some of the slower drivers don't get out of the way for 1 or 2 of these drivers.
We talked about 4 different rookies this year fighting for that prestigious Rookie of the Year award, and right now Ahmed Al-Fahim, who is the teammate of Eric Stark on that victory team, doing well. He's up in the, we take a look, he's in the 8th spot, just ahead of the American Brett Dillard with the CTIC China team, who's in the 9th position.
Yeah, just looking back as well, looking at the first 3 there, Sami Celio doesn't seem to have the pace of the 2 front drivers, does he, Steve? We've got a 2.84 second gap between Bartek and Sean, and then about 10 seconds between Sean and Sami Celio in 3rd.
Torrente's closing the gap big time, Jonathan. It's down to 2.04 seconds. He shaved a 1.5 seconds. Torrente now less than 10 boat lengths, separating 1 and 2 as we work our way down to the final 5 laps of the first of 2 sprint races that we'll have for you this afternoon as we continue to watch that 4th place battle between Eric Stark and that blue boat on your right for the victory team. Jonas Anderson, the 2021 world champion. There's his wife Janie talking to her husband, and it's a full family effort. And neighbors up in Sweden, they all help out in the community. They try to help their buddy and neighbor Jonas Anderson the best they can to get him to have a successful season. It's kind of a great little group gathering there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the passion in Scandinavia in general for powerboat racing, especially Formula 1 or any form of motorsport, is quite unbelievable. And we're back there again. Doesn't seem to be too much progress made with the China team, but trying everything that they can. And
all right, here's Peter Moran looking at making the move now. Jonathan on the inside, heading into the right-hander, sending Jonas Anderson way wide. So the driver from France has moved himself up, and Jonas Anderson looks like Jonas Anderson could be coming slower and slower on the race circuit. He slowed down. He's still running, but the yellow flag is out. There's a problem on the race circuit with 4 laps left to go. And oh my, this will make it interesting, Jonathan, as one of the Sharjah drivers went over.
Which one is that, Steve?
It's either Ferdinand or it might be Ferdinand.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, Ferdinand Zanderberg.
Oh dear.
The driver from Holland, who last year did it. Battled himself to almost getting Rookie of the Year award. This is his 2nd season. He finished 5th in the championship. And for him, he crashed out of the race in Sharjah in his last event.
Yeah, you could see the Osprey rescue team there at hand very, very quickly. The front, they've got a drop-down dory. It's an inflatable boat with you can see the front end of it drops down so that when they recover the driver out of the water, they don't have to pull him in over the boat. He floats into the boat. But looking at him there sitting on the side, Steve, it's A-okay with him. He looks in pretty good shape.
He's holding the green flag in his hand. Luis Ribeiro from Portugal, a UIM official. We anticipate the start. Green flag, we're back underway. And less than 2 laps to go. And here we go. The battle for the front is on in earnest. Torrente on the outside, trying to push as hard as he can with Bartek. Forced to go wide. Torrente slides around the corner. Now side by side. Torrente has the inside lane for the right-hander, Jonathan. Oh, let's see what happens. Can this Cinderella story continue for Bartek, or will Torrente end it in dreams and tears for the drive for Poland? And Sean Torrente, the 3-time world champion, with less than a lap and a half to go, has taken over the lead on the restart.
You know, we said a 3-lap dash, and that's basically what it was. And you can see now that Bartek, he just didn't quite get the pace that he wanted on that restart. Sean Torrente pounced on him and took the lead of the race.
Here on the final lap now, we hold our breath with just 3 more corners to go. Sean Torrente now with Team Abu Dhabi is trying to pull away and easily head down into turn number 9. That was the move of the day, and Sean Torrente, your 3-time world champion for Team Abu Dhabi, will circle around, come by the start-finish line, and he'll come across. And
Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency, Mr. Joko Widodo, to present the trophy to our winner for F1 H2O World Championship Grand Prix Indonesia. Kita berikan tepuk tangan yang meriah untuk Bartek Marzala from Poland. Hadirin sekalian, sekarang waktunya untuk berfoto bersama pemenang. Kami persilahkan to all dignitaries untuk berfoto bersama seluruh pemenang. We invite to all dignitaries to join the winners for the last applause and official picture. Hadirin sekalian, boleh sekali lagi kita berikan tepuk tangan yang meriah untuk all the winners for F1 H2O World Championship Grand Prix Indonesia. Kami ucapkan terima kasih kepada Presiden Republik Indonesia, Bapak Joko Widodo, yang telah berkenan Okay, now it's time to celebrate.
Baik, pemirsa, kami informasikan bahwa tadi Anda menyaksikan tayangan ulang juga dari race pertama karena race kedua harus dihentikan pada lap yang keempat karena memang faktor angin tadi yang terlalu kencang sehingga para pebalap tadi berhenti di putaran keempat dan tentunya tidak ada hasil ataupun hasil dari race kedua tadi yang baru berlangsung selama 3 putaran ini dianggap dianulir. Dan kita lihat untuk awarding ceremony tadi dari race pertama,
Ya,
di mana
sesuai.
Bartek Marsalek tadi ya yang menjadi juara naik podium urutan pertama, kemudian ada Sami Selio dari tim Uni Emirat Arab, kemudian Eric Stark dari tim Victory juga dari Uni Emirat Arab.
Ya, awarding ini merupakan hasil dari race pertama gitu ya, karena memang tadi di race kedua nampaknya cuaca belum begitu mendukung karena angin begitu kencang dalam lap keempat, terpaksa harus ditunda atau dihentikan.
Ya.
Dan ini merupakan hasil akhir di race pertama.
Kita nantikan ada hasil dari race kedua tadi ya, karena memang sebenarnya bendera finish tadi dikibarkan ketika balapan memasuki putaran keempat. Dan inilah Bartek Marsalek, pembalap dari tim Stromoy Racing F1 H2O yang berhasil menjadi juara, tambahan 20 poin bagi Bartek Marsalek dan juga tim Stromoy Racing. Inilah dua pebalap dari tim Stromoy sendiri, ada Bartek Marsalek, kemudian di sisi kanan Marit Stromoy.
Ya, ini yang tadi sempat kita bahas di awal, pembalap wanita satu-satunya yang mengikuti F1 Powerboat dari Norwegia dan usianya saat ini 46 tahun, namun terlihat masih muda gitu ya. Dengan potensi perwakilan dari Norwegia yang mengikuti kejuaraan dunia kali ini.
She is a huge promoter of the sport. She has a two-seater promotion boat, and for her, I mean, it's unbelievable about getting the word out in Scandinavia. Powerboat racing is really, really big.
Inilah Bartek Marsalek yang akhirnya bisa menjadi juara di GP Danau Toba, yang menjadi gelar juara pertama bagi dirinya di ajang F1 H2O.
Ya, Bartek Marsalek dan dari Stromoy Racing ini kembali menunjukkan skill terbaiknya pada seri pembuka Formula One Powerboat 2023 yang diselenggarakan pertama kalinya di Danau Toba, Bali, Sumatera Utara. Dan sebelumnya juga meraih catatan waktu tercepat pada babak kualifikasi dengan catatan waktu 58,21 detik, menjadi juara seri pembuka pada F1 Powerboat tahun ini.